talk about a few project rescues that you've been a part of, what the issue was, and how GSI Project Rescue Services solved those issues?
Sure, sure. So a lot of the small to medium-sized projects that I've been on as of late have been rescue projects. We have taken over usually a failed implementation from NetSuite Professional Services, and we've kind of walked the client through the GSI process and taken the lead. Some of them we've worked alongside NetSuite, others we've taken over completely. The reasons for the takeovers typically are the main reason is because a client will say that NetSuite is lacking in the correspondence. They start off really strong and they have a lot of turnover. So one of the main things I've seen on the last couple projects is that they've had a team, usually offshore, sometimes Canada, sometimes South America, sometimes even in the Philippines. They've had a team that was really good, and they started the project, and about a third of the way through, they have turnover. They either lose the project manager or they lose one of the lead consultants, and they kind of take their foot off the gas, and we end up spinning our wheels trying to get back to where we were, right? So you're moving along, you finish walkthroughs, and then you have somebody new come on and they don't know everything that's happened up to that point. So that's kind of where GSI comes in. We have a really strong team with our consultants and our project managers. They work really well together. Everybody focuses on the entire client, as opposed to NetSuite Professional Services. They have somebody who does strictly record to report, somebody else who does procure to pay. All our consultants are versed on every aspect, which is awesome. They can, if one of them is out, the other one can take over. The project doesn't lose any momentum. If somebody has to pivot to help another client, somebody else can hop right in. So everybody being well versed is definitely one of GSI's strong points. We obviously do have people who excel in, whether it's manufacturing or have their CPA and take the lead in finance, but everybody on our team, I'm 100% confident that they can lead an implementation from any side, whether it's record to report, procure to pay, order to cash, so on and so forth. So yeah, the big thing for us, and the big thing for me that I've seen is basically GSI has the ability to stick with the client, and we can be customized. We're more customizable. NetSuite Professional Services being a large organization, their hands are somewhat tied when it comes to how customized they can be. They set limits in their statement of work for, we're only going to do 50 imports for a certain record or a certain transaction, right? GSI is willing to do what it takes to get you to the finish line. So yeah, the big things are customization and our team's connectivity and our willingness to stick with them through the whole project.
Yeah, that's great. And it's really interesting you say that, because I just interviewed a client who said something very similar about how that's really the positive aspect of GSI, is not having to deal with that turnover, right? Of having to re-explain things that you've already explained to, a new person who's trying to jump in or figures things out. So that's awesome. Why do you think so many ERP implementations fail just in general? Maybe not even just in the NetSuite sphere. I don't know what your background is with other ERPs, but why do you think that is in general with implementations?
Sure. So it kind of ties into the first question. A lot of the implementations that I've seen that weren't successful, even from, I've worked in Salesforce and other CRMs, as well as NetSuite, SAP, so on and so forth. A lot of them are just poor planning, and then the biggest thing is the lack of dedication from a team, right? So you have to have your core team, and your core team has to be dedicated to the project. We know as consultants that it's not your full-time job, right? That's why you hire us. If you had a full-time job to implement, I'm sure you could do it for your company, but you have your daily day-to-day work that has to happen, and your company has to be profitable. So having that dedicated core team is key. Having a team that can be on weekly status calls, available for working sessions. The train the trainer approach, you have that core team. Our consultants will train your core team to train your additional departments and additional employees, right? We're going to train everybody as much as possible, but we want to make sure that the people doing the training for your team are fully trained. So I think a lot of implementations fail for that reason, and then the others were just because of, changing of staff. As I mentioned previously, the professional services team at NetSuite, they have a lot of turnover. I'm not sure the exact reason, but when you have turnover, you end up, moving back and not moving forward, trying to get caught up, and then people lose momentum. You lose interest, right? If you have somebody who's on a weekly call and they have to constantly reiterate and talk about what they talked about the week before, they're going to lose interest and they're going to focus on their work. They're not going to be as excited, right? That's another thing. Everybody's super excited when you're starting the implementation. When you get about halfway through, people tend to trail off. So GSI is really good. Our consultants are very energetic and enthusiastic, and they're really good about, pulling people back in and kind of revitalizing the project and showing, we had this walkthrough. Here's the end result, and here's our plan for how it's going to look when you go live. And this is how much time and how much effort you're saving, whether you're switching over your small company coming from QuickBooks and now you have all this reporting functionality, or if you're a large company and you're just consolidating into a better ERP system. Our consultants will show you how great it is because we're so passionate about NetSuite. And they just, yeah, they're awesome, and they keep the project kind of alive and moving forward.
Yeah, that's great. Um, what would you say is most important to look for when evaluating implementation teams?
Hmm. I think the during the initial calls, you want to look for just a team that has kind of the same culture and the same dynamic. We obviously work with a broad, we work with a bunch of different silos and a bunch of different industries, so we're not going to all have the same background, but we all have a similar mindset, right? We're all very, very focused on the end goal. Our clients seem to fall in line with that. And then we want, again, kind of from the previous question, we want our clients to be energetic and enthusiastic. So when we go into those initial calls, if somebody is sold on how great NetSuite is and how beneficial it will be in the end for their company. Those are the clients that I love working with, right? You hop on that initial kickoff call and they're so excited to see you on that call and moving forward. They can't wait. The first question, when can we get in and when can we start testing? Okay, we gotta, lay the foundation first. But those are the clients that are the best fit, people who have the same energy and the same focus as us. So I
Mhm.
think when you're going out and you're interviewing firms or consultants or whomever, I think the big thing to look for is just a cultural fit. You want somebody who obviously has the background and training, but you also want the same kind of personality type and the same energy level, right? Because anybody can be trained to teach NetSuite, but you want somebody who has the enthusiasm and the passion and the drive to see your business succeed. I think that's kind of where GSI takes the lead amongst others.
Yeah, that's a great point because I think, as you said, it's easy to lose momentum like in the middle of a project or towards the end of a project. And I think that's why we see like these implementation rescues that we do, right? Because you want someone who's going to kind of maintain that energy all the way through the implementation. Awesome. Well, do you have any other tips for a successful NetSuite implementation?
Oh man, I guess the biggest ones I have is just that keeping a focus on the end goal. It gets daunting, and it seems like it's a long time. Our typical implementations for small and medium sized business, where I am, are usually 3 to 5 months, but it flies by. So just as long as you stay focused and stay positive, and let the consultants kind of guide you and show you the best practices. Those are the people who will be the most successful, right? You want to use NetSuite as much as possible to your advantage. So the people who can embrace it and not rely on outside processes and bring everything into NetSuite, those are the ones who are going to be the most successful.